to that, there's giveaways all the time on Instagram, and there was a company that I started looking at after Story Studio had done my incredible branding. There was a company that I looked at, I think it was called, so the majority of my branding I got from Moo, and the quality is, oh my god, it's insane. It's fantastic quality. But the tissue paper that I really wanted was from a company called No Issue Tissue. So I started following the company, and I mean, it's fantastic quality. I have it now. It's fantastic quality, but it works out, or the amount that I was going to buy it would work out £1 a piece, and I couldn't really work it into my price. I mean, I know my price is a higher price point, but my profit is very minimal within that price point. Not that I can earn profit for a very long time because of all my outgoings, but I couldn't factor that into my outgoings. So I thought, oh, that's a shame, because it would look lovely, and I had like a template, I don't know if it, or I had the artwork made for tissue paper. So anyway, this company, No Issue Tissue, had, I feel the need to cough. Let's hope that passes. This company, No Issue Tissue, offered a giveaway. They didn't actually say what they were offering, but I think it's because they reached like 100,000 followers. And all you had to do is really tag yourself, and I tagged myself in it, and then like 2 days later I received, you know, like a direct message from them saying, you have won our so-and-so giveaway. You can select 2 or 3 things from our website up to a value of X amount. Oh my god, I've never jumped up and down so many times. Like, because strangely enough, I used to win quite a lot as a kid. Like, I'd enter, my mum would enter like artwork and stuff like that into competitions, and I used to be really lucky with the things that I won, like watches and pictures and stuff. Yeah, she just used to enter us into everything, our services into everything. But yeah, I won, and I was over the moon, and I got to like, I didn't know whether it was just for like generic tissue paper. I didn't know whether you could customise it, but you could customise it, and they would just send you a code. And this is one of the things that I purchased. And how cool is this? So it's tape, but it's not, it is self-adhesive tape, but it's made from paper. It's probably recycled paper, meaning that it's really good for the environment. And yeah, this is one of the things that I ordered, and also obviously my tissue paper. So yeah, very, very pleased with that. So I'm getting some notifications. So yeah, so although I started out for this to be me making a swimsuit, I am going to get to that, but I also really like the idea of me going through, not the processes, this isn't me saying, oh, there's a lot of processes, you need to know what goes into making a swimsuit. It's not at all, but you also might like to know. It is coming from an amateur to some degree. Any of the knowledge that I have is from YouTube, Instagram, I want to say like places like Skillshare. I signed up to that a few months ago. I think I've just started paying for it monthly. It's fantastic. It's also one of them things where you're like, I'm going to need that, I really need that, I really need, oh, I've got it. You know, when do you get around to using it? I am one of them people. It's like the gym, or you know, subscription services, any of them things. There's one that I want at the moment that does like these hip workouts, but I know that the minute I get it, I'm not going to be interested in doing it because I just can't find the motivation for it. So yeah, any of the information that I have, or the limited knowledge that I have, I've learned from YouTube, just watching people make swimwear. I mean, a method that I've used for ages, which you can see, anything that I show you is a sample as well, really. The reason I say that is just because I'm a perfectionist. I don't want to show you anything you'll be like, oh, that doesn't look great. But so like, for example, this Arizona suit in red, this is one of the first colours I made, just because the reason why it was red, I actually hated the colour red for such a long time. And even now it doesn't sit, I can't explain it, but it's just not a colour that I respond to very well. Although even when I see it on here, this is probably the closest that I will get to like a neon, like a bright colour. It is beautiful nonetheless. And this was one of the first suits that I made, I think this actual sample, but the method that I always wanted to use when I started out was seamless swimwear. When I say seamless, I don't mean like Gymshark do active wear and there is no seams, it's just one soft piece of fabric that just stretches across your body. It's like knitted in one piece. I don't know whether there's any seams. That's not what I mean. I literally just mean that you don't see the seam, it's within. So this method is called a bagged out method. There's probably other names for it as well. It's a bagged out method. To me, I believe it makes the swimsuit far more comfortable. I always use the same fabric for lining. I don't like, not that they're cheap quality, sometimes they're cheap quality. I believe it's just like a nylon with maybe like a real small percentage of elastane in it. So Lycra, what I use, I talk like I have people helping me or working for me, maybe someday. Lycra is what I use. 80% nylon, which is obviously a man-made fabric. I do try and buy as much recycled sustainable fabric as possible. I believe they're called like Eco-Nil. A lot of Carvaco fabrics, which is another manufacturer of Italian fabric, are recycled from plastics in the ocean. So it's for the ocean and it's by the ocean essentially, which is pretty cool. That's not all my fabrics, which is why I don't highlight that on my page, but that is definitely something, when I've cemented these other foundations of my brand, that is something that is most definitely important to me. I am vegan, not as in just diet, in a lifestyle. I don't wear leather. I don't wear anything that comes from an animal. I love animals so much. Just love, love, love. Minus the dog that I've got. Just joking, but he does drive me up the wall. It wouldn't make sense for me to then wear something that I love, or... yeah, anyway, we don't need to get... maybe we'll get into that later, but... because I do want this YouTube channel, although it's like an extension for Monroe, I do just want it to talk about all good stuff. Anything that is like kind of relevant. So yeah, environmental impact is very, very important to me. I don't use any plastic within my packaging. You know, I don't wrap in plastic mail bags. You're going to receive it in a box. I try and think of ways for you to store your swimwear, just so your association to them is entirely different. So it's something that you want to keep and look after and kind of cherish, hopefully, if you like it enough to do so. So I even think about ways of you storing swimwear. I don't like to put my swimsuits in with my underwear and like in the sock drawer. I share a sock drawer with Luke, and that's enough reason to not want to do that, because of his big feet. Not that he puts his big feet in the sock drawer to put it on his socks, but I know his big feet have been near him. So I hang them. I like them hung. I don't like creases, even though Lycra is very forgiving. When it's stretched, the creases are essentially gone, but I do like it hung. So I've lost where I was. Oh yeah, so one minute. So the bagged out method, my swimwear generally takes me maybe, it used to take me 2.5 to 3 hours to make a swimsuit. So this was the predicament that I used to face quite a lot. When I would receive orders, which I'll be honest is like infrequent and sporadic. It's not, you know, it's not like just one order a day or something like that. I would say like last autumn, when I would receive orders, I would essentially make it there and then. I've never really had like pre-made stock ready to purchase. So you would place an order and I would make, and it would take me maybe, I think I would say on the website like 2 weeks, but I would get making it straight away. I understand there is a convenience. There is a need for convenience when we buy anything. Generally when I buy a swimsuit or a top or anything, I know when I want to wear it. I've already worked out what that purchase is for. We're all considerate purchases or considerate consumers, to the point where we know when we want to wear what we're purchasing. So I would like to get to this. I'm definitely going to get to the stage optimism is key, whereby I have the stock and you order it and it's going next day. I do run another mail order business, so I can guarantee that I can send stuff out every day. There won't be a delay, it's just literally going to be the time spent packing and sending. So the problem that I was facing when I would receive orders like 6 weeks ago, and still now, but I just mean that I'm not getting orders at the moment because I'm spending my time on the development, because I think I wasn't trying to run, I was just trying to say, well, I am trying to sell swimwear, so sell swimwear, and that is good and that is what you need to do, but I don't want to oversee these development stages because they're so important to me, and they're so important, and they're the core of my brand, or what I want my brand to be. So when I would get the orders, I'd obviously have to stop what I was doing with my eBay business, and I'd have to start making. So I'd have the patterns made for the suit that I was advertising. So I would cut the fabric out, and as I say, it would maybe take 2.5 to 3 hours to make the suit and the belt. It gets quicker as I do it over time, and it will only ever get quicker even if it's just me making them. I'll get to a point where I can work with, hopefully, a seamstress. I'd love to have an in-house seamstress, or I can work with like a small run production company, or maybe even a big run production company. And yeah, so the process is quicker, becomes quicker every time I do it. I like to spread myself quite thinly, I think. And I said this to Luke the other day, I said, or maybe a few months ago, I said, I realise Nutella isn't Nutella when it's spread thinly. Word of warning, please don't buy Nutella. I know we all love it and it's so damn tasty, and you can eat the whole pot of it, but it contains palm oil, and that's really bad for the orangutans, and I bloody love orangutans. It's just a really shitty thing. Even sustainable palm oil, I can't imagine is that great, but there are so many good brands that sell like hazelnut, cocoa or chocolate style spread. Please buy one of those. So I said to him, like, Nutella isn't Nutella when it's spread thinly, meaning you aren't like your magic when you're spreading your magic so thinly that there's nothing left, there's nothing, you can't possess it in the same way. And I am still doing that now, and what I mean by doing that is I just wanted it to be perfect. I wanted the entire process to be perfect of what you received. So it wasn't good enough me just designing, making the pattern and making this myself and having really beautiful branding. I wanted you to also have a bag to put it in, so then I started to make like these calico bags, and I still make them, and I don't know whether it's something I'm going to be able to maintain because the bag alone takes an hour to make. I don't have a stock of them, and it would be ideal if I could just say to myself, I'm just going to spend a day making bags, or you know, I'm just going to spend a day making the belts. These kind of things take a long time to make. So 2.5 hours to like 3 hours to make the suit, and then I would start the bag, and I would be doing that. I'd start first thing in the morning. I'd be like, right, I've got this order, I'll start first thing in the morning to try and get it done. I want to send it out next day. It's like setting these impossible targets for myself. Although I could meet them, I'd be like worked up, and this is all while trying to run a business, trying to stay active or do anything worth looking at, viewing, consuming on Instagram, while still trying to engage with people, while still trying to develop, because you've still only got one design out categorically. And I was struggling, and that is still me now. I'm talking as my former self, but I'm still experiencing that. I'm still struggling with how I juggle it. I'm still struggling with the concept of I'm juggling this, but I want to bring more things in. It's like me going, yeah, I'm keeping these up. What else can you give me? Can I have, you know, I want that design, I want that fabric, I want to do this, I want to bring this in. There's so many things that my brand doesn't have. When I say I'm 1% where I want to be, it's me being all optimistic and like, oh yeah, I want it to look like this, it's going to have this. No, in real terms, I am 1% where I want to be. The photography is not up to scratch. Me as a salesperson for my brand is not up to scratch. I like to give stuff away for free. I don't know why I do that, it's just my personality. It's also, don't know whether this is something that comes into play with creatives either, but when you make something yourself, when you do the whole process of something and you try and sell it, you're kind of like saying not buy into me, but what I produce is a direct thing of what I'm able to produce. I know I spoke about this in my last video. I think I can't actually watch that back, it's too embarrassing. And just like this non-stop, I'm pulling this up. This is fixed around my neck, and that's why I wore it, and I wore my hair tied back for good reason. Where was I? Yes, so as a creative, I don't know whether this is something that other creatives find, but sometimes what you create is direct result of what you're able to achieve. Like, that's the best that you can achieve. So then to try and sell that thing and put a price on it, and to do like not a hard sell, because I'll never be that kind of brand, it's tough. It's a little bit tough. Took me a very long time. There's a cat in my garden, and I have a dog that doesn't like cats. It took me a very long time to come round to the idea that I'm going to have to be a higher price point. Always knew that was what I needed to be, but if you said to me, oh, you can order from this girl and she makes everything by hand and it's all made in the UK and it's totally sustainable, and you know, the quality is really good, and she'll make it for you, like you order and she'll make it and you'll have it in 2 or 3 days, I'd be like, that's amazing, that's fantastic. Like I want, yeah, of course I'd do that. But then I have to sell the idea of that's me, and I have to then play that role, and sometimes that's quite difficult. So my price point does also have to creep up, just in line with my costs increasing. I'm not really greedy, I'm not just like, Anyway, so another reason why it would take 2 to 3 hours to make just the suit alone is because I use something called the bagged out method that I spoke about a minute ago. And what that means is this essentially to some degree is reversible. So the outer fabric, you might not know just by looking at it, but the outer fabric is also the inner fabric, so it's also the lining. With a lot of companies you will get, like I was just speaking about, the nude, or it may even be the same colour as the outer fabric. It will be nude, it will be made of nylon, it's not as good quality, it's generally nude, it makes the suit kind of opaque. I didn't like the idea of that. I don't know why, it just seemed a bit cheap to me, and when I was reading about the reasons why you would use a different colour lining fabric, it just seemed as though it was to save money, and that is not something I wanted to scrimp on. This is a beautifully soft fabric. I want that beautifully soft fabric against my body. Also, when you use like a nylon lining fabric, sometimes the fabric properties are entirely different, meaning they don't stretch or respond in the same way as the outer fabric. So I just wanted to ensure it's almost just like one fluid piece. Oh, you are a beautiful kitty, aren't you? Just not sure what you're doing in my garden. So yes, the bagged out method, which is this, which makes this all one fluid piece, you could technically wear it if I used a different colour lining fabric, still nylon lycra but a different colour, it would technically be reversible. The only thing is you have like a very small sewn hole, so at the moment it's open. This hole is the only way that I'm able to make a bagged out suit. So this hole, the entire suit gets reversed out. So when I'm working on the suit, you're never going to get through that. You can try, but oh, you are going to try. Sorry, the cat's still in the garden. So all the construction work that goes into a suit is all on the inside, as you can see here. And I do all that good stuff and then I turn it inside out. But it's not as simple as I'm just sew all my seams, I'll just pull it inside out. It doesn't happen like that. What you'll get is something that resembles, do you know, like a snood? You know, like a scarf that's got a seam, so it's just literally one loop. That's what will happen. And you just keep turning, you're trying to get your swimsuit right side out and it just doesn't happen. It just keeps funneling through and through and through. The bagged out method is quite difficult to learn. There's many different techniques and methods in order to achieve this style. It is very time consuming, but it is nonetheless so beautiful. So something that I've started doing recently, just because I found that the leg would sometimes have a little bit more movement than I would like. I'm someone that likes my swimwear to not be stuck on me in place. I like movement. I like to know that the hip can move, and when it you know, when I change the positioning of the hip, I'm not going to be left with like some cut out line into my side, like some indentation. So although this is like very soft on the hip and the bum, I felt that there was maybe like a little bit too much movement there. So for example, this is the Astrid suit that I was talking about. This is in this beautiful burnt orange. This is in a lighter weight fabric. Now this is a sample, not to be confused with a ready to sell one. This is a sample. The top stitching on the leg here, I actually do it in brown as opposed to burnt orange. I have recently just ordered the thread because on the belt sometimes I do like for it to be a contrasting like top stitch colour. I do really like that. But generally speaking, so like on the leg, this does need to be orange. This is just a sample. Sometimes I do it in a contrasting colour just so that I can make sure that I'm doing the technique properly and it's clean and the finish is good. I can obviously illustrate that when I use a different colour thread. Don't know whether you can see that there. So this is a zigzag stitch. I tend not to use zigzag stitches at all, really. The only time I use a zigzag stitch is when I attach the elastic to the leg. That's the only time I use a zigzag stitch. So a zigzag stitch is essentially a utility stitch on, I'm sure it is, yeah, on a sewing machine. So that's the only reason why I have a sewing machine. I would have bought an industrial sewing machine instead of an overlocker, but with swimwear, an overlocked edge is what you use like 90% of the time. The only time you're not using an overlocker is when you're doing like a decorative stitch, or you're doing a top stitch, or you're with the leg, there's elastic in the leg. That's the only place I actually embed elastic into the suit. And yeah, so I use a contrasting colour thread just because, generally speaking, up until now I've always done a seamless leg, and then I thought to myself, do you know what, I'm going to do the seamless method throughout, minus on the legs, just because I feel as though there's a little bit more security sometimes when you use the attach and fold method with the elastic, which is what I've done here. So I don't know if I mentioned a minute ago, I do have a cover stitch machine. For anyone that doesn't know, a cover stitch machine is essentially like a twin needle or double needle stitch. You would use it for top stitching. You could use it to mount your elastic on the edge once it's been already attached, or you could use it for both essentially. And I love the way that looks. I'm just trying to see if I've, oh yeah, here you go. So on this thread, so this belt is actually an entirely different colour to this suit. I just brought this down for illustration purposes, which is on my belt there. I'm not sure if I'm gonna, oh there you go. I just love how that looks. So on the other side, this is the back side. Ignore that bit because this is a sample, they don't actually look like that. But this is the back side of a cover stitch. And a cover stitch is a stretch stitch. Oh, I've gone out of focus. Yes, a cover stitch is a stretch stitch. Oh, my camera made out. Right, I'm going to wrap this up. A cover stitch is a stretch stitch. I prefer to use it, that's how I like it to look. But yeah, I'll just quickly show you. This looks really beautiful on. So this is the Astrid suit in a burnt orange. This is a lightweight fabric, so fabric does respond slightly differently to a heavyweight fabric. But yeah, this is another method to top stitching, which is a zigzag stitch. Touch AF cancelled. I'm not sure what that means. So yeah, hopefully we do a few videos like this. Yeah, it just gives some insight into what goes on behind the scenes. So yeah, we've spoken a little bit about patterns. What I'll actually try and do is like come up with a few notes so that I can actually direct myself through, because maybe this can also be helpful for someone that wants to make a swimsuit. I had someone message me the other day, and that's such an amazing thing. It made me so happy. She was like, oh, you've inspired me to make myself a swimsuit, and I was like, that's fantastic. So I probably won't help or try and highlight how you make a pattern. I'll maybe highlight some of the rules to making to pattern cutting, but I'm just going to try and slowly talk you through the processes of making a swimsuit. As a disclaimer, I've already said so, but just to highlight, I don't have all these amazing credentials. I'm not a professional by any means. All of my knowledge has been gained through YouTube and Google. This is just me trying to give something back. I might have something that makes you go, oh, you know, that's what I needed to know, and I'm going to go and get myself some lycra. I'm going to work, you know, 12% negative ease into my pattern, and that's going to make it fit a lot better. I don't know. But yeah, I'll just try and keep making little snippet videos like this. I say little snippet, but I've maybe been talking for 2 hours now, so I'm not sure how I'm going to cut this down. So maybe we'll do like part 1, part 2. But I love to hear your guys' feedback. This is really awkward for me. I'm trying my best. Yeah, just, yeah, please be kind. Yeah, as I say, I'm going to try and keep doing little videos and just trying to summarise all the different processes of what I'm trying to do. It gives you a chance to see the fabrics and, I don't know, see some branding, see the processes, look at the seams. I think it's a beautiful idea to just, yeah, see what goes on. And inside the swimsuit, you'll never see that. If you buy seamless swimwear, you never really know about the processes that go into making that swimsuit, and what goes on the inside. So I think that's, yeah, something that would be nice to capture. I'm just going to try and highlight any knowledge that I have that might be helpful. I don't know, I'm not sure who my viewer may be. It may just be that you've seen my Instagram and you thought, oh, maybe she'll actually show some of the designs that she'll be selling on her Instagram, and I most definitely will. Hopefully my YouTube will just continuously adapt and grow and just work parallel to my brand, and it will one day very soon just show stuff like behind the scenes of, not just, because I'm never going to give it less time than it needs. I'm not just going to give all this good stuff and then just retract when it starts doing well, which it will. But yeah, I'm not sure who my viewer will be yet. Maybe you're just coming from Instagram and you want to come see me make a show of myself, which you definitely will.